You know it's show time when you hear that music. Good evening, everyone. You are live. We are live across the world, and I've got two of my usual special guests tonight. That is, of course, Danny in Spain, and then the one and only, the most handsome man in the movement. We have Richard Inman over there in Northern Ireland. We have a special guest tonight as well, another handsome gentleman. I've got to be careful of all these handsome men I bring on board. It is our Reform UK friend, Noel Wilcox. Noel, good evening. How you doing, mate?
Good evening, guys. Really good to see you all.
And you, Noel.
I know.
Good evening,
I've missed
Richard.
you. I've missed you guys. I've missed you.
It's been a long time, mate. It's been a long time. Lots happened.
Mate, a lot has been going on. My God, hasn't a lot been going on? Have you guys been all right?
I think so.
I'm not sure yet. I have to check by the day.
We're not in custody. We're not in custody at the minute, Noel. So that's always a bonus, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's a bonus for everyone. Have you still got your jobs?
Oh no,
Have you still got your jobs?
I lost that in 2021, mate.
Yeah, I'm completely unemployable, mate. No one would ever employ me ever again. Danny,
I would.
You would.
I would.
I'm a bit old for your job, mate. I wouldn't be out. Listen, the last time I opened a tight tomato sauce bowl, I put me back out, right? So there's no chance of me doing any graft, I got to tell you. I'm well past that. Boys, good evening. Danny, you all right there, mate?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good.
Danny's got his new Starlink internet in place out there in Spain, so he's all giving it large because he's got the fastest interconnection in the Western world. So he's all happy. He's up and running. Right, guys, listen, we are back in the positive frame of mind. I'm hoping we're all back in a positive frame of mind. Now, I think we've only got Noel for about, 10 or 15 minutes, Noel? You got to go out tonight?
Yeah, about literally about 10 minutes, Paul. This was a fastball, and I could never turn you down.
Okay, thank you very much, mate. I've never heard that before in my life. I've always been used to being turned down, but it's wonderful here. Noel, while I've got you, give us the latest from the world of reform. What's going on, mate? Give us some good news.
Okay, so momentum is absolutely crazy at the moment. It really, really is. So what we're doing, we're democratizing the whole party, professionalizing the whole party. You know, what we achieved was nothing short of a miracle. I've been very, very vocal about that. You know, our contract with the people, that's gone now. So all our new policies are coming into place. The constitution is being written. Currently at the moment, what they've got chairs of local branch structure. So I was at a meeting on Thursday, and what we're doing is the chairman of those branches are pretty much, if you think of a building site, you've got your main contractor, then you've got your subcontractors. That's pretty much how it's going to work. And then Reform are just going to oversee that. So they really want to localize the branch structure. Obviously, they'll do all the vetting, they'll do all that sort of stuff. But I think it's real positive steps where we're going to be going in the future. There's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening with Reform.
No, I know, you know, look, first of all, I want to thank you very much for coming on, because obviously, you know, I mean, look, we know the situations can be a little bit sticky at times. So thank you for your bravery and, you know, the fact that you are prepared to come on and put yourself forward. I know that Richard and Danny might have one or two questions for you in just a moment, but I want to ask you, and if there's anything that I ask that you can't answer, I'm sure everyone would understand. But
I mean, Paul, I don't want to live in this kind of world of where we're like, oh, we can't answer this and we can't answer that, or else everybody's, you know, if I don't know the answer, I will say I don't know. I don't want to sort of get into a position where I'm like, oh, I can't answer that, because then we're buying into the narrative, really, then, aren't we?
Absolutely. Let me just get this question here. Rara says, I can't even look at the bloke anymore. I have to turn the channel over. Look, don't talk about Richard like that. He's obviously talking
about me. I thought he was talking about me.
He's talking about
no, we know he's talking about.
I couldn't resist that one. Sorry. So, no, look, just tell me, first of all, look, are the people at Reform aware of us and what we're trying to achieve in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'll be straight with everybody. For me to come on the channel, obviously we've got to get clearance to do that, and Reform was fully supportive of me doing that. You know, I used the chain of command. The chain of command came back and said, "Yeah, we're happy to do that." Obviously, you know, when candidates are giving interviews, they've got to trust that candidate to go out there and, you know, relay the message from Reform as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's nice to hear, obviously. Look, Reform are going up in the polls by the day, it seems. Labour are going down in the polls by the minute, it seems. I get the feeling, and we'll bring Richard and Danny in here as well now, I get the feeling that if there was another general election tomorrow, the vote might look somewhat different.
Yeah, I think the vote would look very, very different. I mean, look, what we're looking for is obviously to build upon the amount of votes that we've got already. So we've got 4.2 million votes. If we get another 5 million votes on top of that, so that will give us 11 million votes, you will have a Reform government. That is the reality of the situation. That is the goal, and that is our key objective here, is now to home in on those 5 million disenfranchised voters. And a lot of people are saying that we're picking up the Conservative votes. That is completely wrong. We are actually now getting a lot of Labour voters that are coming over to us. This whole thing to do with the winter fuel allowance has been absolutely unacceptable. A lot of the Labour voters are just not accepting that, no matter what, you know, deficit that the country is in. And I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to sit here and spout on, you know, the billions that are owed and all that sort of stuff. But right here, right now, the Labour voters are absolutely furious over this winter fuel allowance, and rightfully so. It's absolutely disgraceful, whilst we still have these undocumented men who are coming over the channel that we're all paying for. That is completely unacceptable. If everything was perfect, the schools were perfect, the streets were perfect, you know, we didn't have weeds growing through the walls, people weren't getting stabbed on a daily basis, 3 people a day weren't getting stabbed, and then they said, look, you know, we've overspent here, we've overspent there, or whatever, and things were quite smooth, then we might get it, we might understand it. But I really think now that people feel that they're being taken advantage of. That's what that is what I'm getting now, and people are so angry, they're fuming. Can you blame them? I mean, two-tier. What's his name? What someone called him Kim Jong-un or something like that to me. The Korean dictator. I mean, you know, we never see this, did we? You know, we all saw this kind of geeky guy who said that he was, you know, head of public prosecutions, but little did we know that what was in the mist was a dictator.
Yeah, the mask hasn't slipped. It's been taken off. Richard and Danny, I'll hand over the floor to you guys for a moment. Just
a quick one. I mean, he lied in his manifesto, didn't he? As usual.
Yes.
Which is most of the time with. Shouldn't it be now legally binding for the manifesto to be legal and they're held accountable for what they promise? Because otherwise, we're voting on a lie. You know?
I completely agree. Yeah. There's got to be a pledge. There's got to be a manifesto, and you know, your elected officials, whether that's your councillors, local councillors, ward councillors, county councillors, everybody who has voted in, we've got to get back accountability. That is one thing that I'm absolutely an advocate for, is accountability. That's throughout all public services, throughout government. So whether it's the police, whether it's the military, whatever it might be, there has to be accountability. And the judiciary, this is why we have the separation of powers. And Richard, this is why we joined the military, because I believed in our constitution. I believed in the separation of powers. I believed in all these sorts of things. But now, I'm not sad to say it, I do question what I actually swore that oath of allegiance for. And I really do.
Do you know what I think? No, the way I've always seen the oath of allegiance. Obviously, it was to the Queen, but for me, it was always about protecting our people. You know, that was all, and that's kind of, and I think you're the same as me. That's why we're doing what we're doing, because we want to protect the British people, and that means black, white, you know, whatever color.
A person to person. A person to person.
A person's a person. We want to protect the people in this country that love this country. And that's why I joined. And I can't, I don't know about you, Noel, I can't lay this down. there's times I go, oh man, I'm done with this. You know what I mean? You know, and then it's like the old Godfather thing with Michael Corleone. Every time I try and get out, they drag me back in. You know what I mean? Every time I try and get out, Paul Thorpe does a live stream and drags me back in. You know what I mean? But no, I mean, I think it's great that you guys are giving Labour a kick. I do have issues. You know that, Noel. I haven't hidden those. I do have issues with certain things with Nigel, and I have issues with, in a
Richard,
way,
that's democracy. Richard, that's democracy.
Exactly.
Yeah. No one should be here to say how they can feel about anybody. Everyone's personal views are their personal views.
And Noel, do you know what? That's such a good thing, because the reality is that you're probably one of the only people that will actually say that in this day and age. Because when you look at the Tories, you look at the Labour Party, they have done more to destroy freedom of speech than anyone else. And that's really my big question: is what can reform do to restore freedom of speech? Not in 5 years' time. You know, you guys have got 5 MPs in Parliament there. I would like to see those guys asking questions on the floor of the House about people that have been put in prison for Facebook posts, about people that have been pressured into pleading guilty, and also about our friend that we're not going to name on the channel who is looking like he's looking at a fairly hefty prison sentence if he comes back to the UK. So what do you think? Do you think your guys in Parliament can start taking that poison chalice of freedom of speech, because because if we lose that, you know, they can, because they're already making noises about silencing Nigel. You've seen that on the mainstream media. You've seen Blair and Starmer and all these reprobates and Hope Not Hate calling Nigel a far right extremist, and he's not. I'm not his greatest fan, but he's not an extremist. He's an old-fashioned conservative, right? So how can we, with such a small number of MPs, with such a small footprint, what can we do, Noel, to fight that fight for free speech?
Well, do you know what? I mean, I love that question. I really do. And I'm going to answer that question. And I'm going to answer it as honestly and truthfully as I possibly can. And there's not a day that goes by since we've had that election when I do wish our 5 boys, you know, that are there in Westminster, they are doing their best. They are trying to hold this government to account on everything that they're doing, whether it's from energy. You know, Richard Tice got into a spat with Ed Miliband the other day. Lee Anderson, he personally wrote to Yvette Cooper regarding the fact that the Home Office had come out and said, was it 1,000 or thousands of criminals? Yes, thousands of criminals. And he did try to hold her to account. So from our perspective at Reform, what we would campaign on, what we absolutely would strive for, is that freedom of speech is freedom of speech, as long as it's not hateful rhetoric, and that applies to everybody. And the law, the most important thing here, Richard, is that the law will apply to everyone, regardless of your colour, race, or creed, or whatever your sexual orientation is. The law will apply to absolutely everyone. Because do you know what? Our view on it is that the law does not discriminate. When it's written in black and white, those laws do not discriminate. And it's only the interpretations of these laws now, which is allowing, you know, once they start using all these court procedure rules and so on, this is how our judiciary is under attack, and our laws, because of the interpretation and the 2-tier systems. I wouldn't even say that we're into a 2-tier police system anymore. Everything is 2-tier.
2-tier everything,
Everything is 2-tier. From child protection services to the child maintenance service to the DWP to absolutely everything across all government services now, everything is 2-tier.
Yeah, totally.
No, I'm not sure that you'll ever make a decent politician because you talk too much sense.
Too honest. He's too honest. I mean,
I'm sorry, guys.
No, the other question I've got, Noel, and it's related to what you just said, right? So obviously we know that what's happened in the UK since Blair was in power is basically all the political parties have been taken over. So there's very little difference between the Lib Dems, the Tory party, the Labour Party. They are a uni party. Whoever coined that phrase is absolutely right. Is that what Nigel would have called the liberal elite? They're the ones that are in control. But they're now in the judiciary. They're in the police. They're in the military. They're in the education system. this is a really important question. How are Reform even thinking about how to de-radicalize, and it is de-radicalization because these people have been radicalized with woke bullshit. How do we de-radicalize the institutions if you guys get in power? And then I've got one more question after that, and then I'm done.
Well, firstly, the institutions that you're talking about are predominantly the civil service. That's a whole separate war, Richard. Yeah. We've seen it with the last government, the issues that they had. It really would. And I've sort of said this. The first thing that I would do if I was the minister or I was in some form of authority, the very first thing that I would do is have these civil service contracts looked at by the top legal brains in the country. And then what we would have to do is review all of their terms and conditions of their contracts and their employment. And I think that is the starting blocks to the question that you've just asked me.
Yeah.
Because it's so deep rooted, until you could see what was written in black and white, because impartiality, at the end of the day, the civil service is there to support the government and support their policies, not to carry on with their own rhetoric. But what we are seeing is that the civil service are fully in control of all of our public services at the moment.
Exactly. So even if this is the problem that I don't want to be fair to the Tories because they don't deserve any fairness, but even if you guys won the majority under the current system, and the final question is going to be about what I think Starmer's going to do as well. But under the current system, you may win a majority, but you will be hamstrung. You'll be filibustered by the civil service that are just going to make you walk through glue and go on strike and cause, and you're going to have all, it's going to be a major, if Reform win, and I'm not being negative here, I just want to be realistic. If Reform win, it's going to be a major confrontation between people, the power of the people, in other words, us, the people that would all be voting for Reform, support Reform, and the deep state, the civil service. It's just so I think what the Americans, what Trump's crew are doing is they're having almost like a shadow civil service in waiting so that when they get into power, or if they get into power, let's hope they do, they can then put all these people in place very, very quickly and change things,
replace them.
Yeah.
I think a very quick answer really to what you're alluding there to both Paul and Richards is I think the first thing that we got to look at is the military. Yeah, the military is a proven institution of success, and that's what it is. And when you give your orders through the chain of command, those orders are carried out. So the first thing that we need to do is, I think we've got about 10,000, 11,000 veterans who are all out of work or sleeping homeless. So the first thing that we've got to look at is what jobs did these people actually do when they were in the military, and start looking at how that we can recruit them into management positions within the civil service. And, give them very, very explicit instructions as to what has to happen and how moving forwards that they are going to implement those management systems across whatever department they're actually running. So I think that would be a very, very good place to start. So you've got to recruit the believers, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah,
I like that expression. Brilliant. Recruit the believers. I love that.
And the final one, Noel, is just about the voting system. I know Nigel's always been big, into looking at proportional representation, looking at what's happened to Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, and I think probably something. I'm not sure about the French system, but there seems to be a lot of ganging up, using PR against populist. I don't like the term populist, but you know what I mean. Centre-right parties that are actually believing in trying to do what the people want to do. So, this is just me, but again, what I would think is if Reform are doing really, really well in the polls, and the Americans call it too big to rig. In other words, you've got that many people voting for you, you're not gonna be turned over by a dodgy few votes from Bradford that's all come in the mail in a sack from the local mosque. You've basically got you've got the proper votes, and you've won the election fair and square, and you've got a massive majority. So if that's the case, then PR doesn't really matter, because you've got so many people voting for you that you don't need PR. So again, I know Nigel's always been a big advocate of PR, but PR could be a double-edged sword. If you guys get so big that they can't rig it, then you won't need PR. So it's just putting that out there. Has that been discussed? If if you can get that big that you don't need to look to push for PR.
Well, I mean, obviously they do want to push for PR, because what we believe in is democracy across all parties. And wouldn't it be great to get a nice mixed balance? Because what we're currently seeing at the moment is either the Conservatives or Labour that are coming into power, that are actually coming in with their rhetoric. And it's very, very difficult to stop that rhetoric. So, I mean, what you could get with proportional representation is balanced views in the House. That would be an ideal situation, wouldn't it? But I mean, look, I've only stood in one general election, Richard, and one thing that I think definitely needs to be reviewed are the postal votes. I mean, when the ballots came in, that's when I started seeing thousands of reform votes that started coming in when I was looking. But I mean, when it was the postal votes, I wasn't getting hardly any votes. I mean, when I spoke to Paul, I think when we were doing a live that night, I said to Paul, my God, this looks like this is going to be a complete whitewash. And then all of a sudden, when the ballots started coming in at about 11:30 at night, I phoned Paul back and I said, hold on a minute, the landscape's changing here. I started seeing the reform piles, stacking up and stacking up and stacking up.
Doesn't quite add up, does it?
No. So I think with these postal votes, that it definitely needs to be reviewed.
The reality is there's massive fraud going on. I mean, when we were doing the work in Telford on the films that we made in Telford, we saw multiple different names, because we had a lot of information. Well, I'm not going to go into it, but we had a lot of information coming in, and we saw multiple names in the same house, and the names were all just slightly different. So you had maybe 10 people that were the same person, right, in one house. Agree. And that's frightening, because the when that's reflected in the polls, if it is reflected in the polls, don't know that it is, but if it is reflected in the polls, it's a disaster. And again, Nigel had this in Peterborough, where it was rigged by I think it was Peterborough, wasn't it? Where the postal vote, I think he took legal action on that. So yeah, the postal vote's massive. The thing with PR, Noel, right? The thing, what tends to happen with PR, if you look in Europe, even if a centre-right party wins the majority of votes, in fact, Germany was the other one with the AfD,
they find it very difficult to form a government.
They gang up, and the progressive push them out. So I'm just feeding that in, Noel.
So I know PR can work and first past the post. I mean,
it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, exactly, and it's pick your poison. Guys, listen, it was lovely to see you all tonight. I've got to shoot.
No, I appreciate you coming on, mate. Thank you very much. We'll have you on again soon. And
guys, lots of love, honestly. Lots of love. It's great to see you.
Thank the good fight, brother. Keep going.
Take care. Right, and lots of love to all your viewers as well. See you later.
See you later, Noel.
Bye.
Brilliant.
Good lad, Noel. Good lad.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a good lad. Great representative for reform. Let's go through one or two of the super chats. Let's have a look. W. Cartist, thank you very much. Join a peaceful, seated, silent gathering on the 28th of September in many towns and cities across the UK. We need to stand strong and together unite the kingdom. Thank you guys for all you do. Thank you very much. Chris Carter Jackson, totally agree. Not just ex-Tory voted reform. My Sunderland had a load of ex-Labour voting reform. I believe that's right. I believe there's a lot of old school Labour voters voting reform. Jimmy Digital, Paul Thorpe, the Watchman, becoming something of an activist. Concerned mums and dads unite. That's what I am. I'm a concerned grandfather. Jules has become a new member. Thank you very much. If you want to help the channel, please give us an upvote, and if you can join, that would be brilliant. Mr. Subtle, looking into how the community leaders are selected and appointed, 3 police stations and a Met Police comms team. Nobody can give answers. Got a freedom of information request. Good man. British Patriot, thank you. Noel talks a lot of sense. We all have a job to do. That's it for the supers for the moment. Danny, your thoughts on Noel?
I think it's fantastic. I'm gutted he didn't get in, to be fair. That would have been great.
Yeah.
He'd have been a great spokesman in Parliament, for sure.
Yeah, and he promised to
but
take
yeah.
me for tea in the Houses of Commons as well. So
That's the only reason you wanted him in, weren't it?
I'm double gutted, yeah. But we need people like Noel.
He talks total sense. Total sense. And you're not getting no political BS.
Yeah, he's the London accent Lee Anderson, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Totally. Just a nice guy. All over nice guy.
Now, just going back to yesterday's video, guys, I know you've both seen yesterday's video that I put out about uniting. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? Look, I've got to know Richard very well over the last few months, and without blowing smoke, I mean, Richard is a huge asset to this community. He walks the walk. He talks he does it all. He does whatever he says he'll do. He does it, and he does it with enthusiasm. Yeah, okay. And I went away last week, and it was great to have a week away because it gave me a lot of time to think very deeply about where I was going, where I was going to be trying to take this channel, who I was going to ultimately want to be around, and every time I came up with something or a question in my mind, the first person that came into my mind was always Richard. And the reason is because I think Richard and I, we've got something in common, Richard. I don't know quite what it is. We have a connection. Age, yeah.
Grey hair.
We have a connection. And I've got to tell you that I think that I am fed up with working with people, or I'm fed up with dealing with people who talk, and that's all they do. Look, we could sit here tonight and go through the problems about illegal migration. We can go through the problems about the heating allowance being taken away from our old age pensioners. We can talk about potholes. We can whinge and whine till the cows come home. And it's great for the YouTube algorithm. And let's be honest, it's great for views and therefore great for the pocket. But it ain't getting us anywhere. All the whinging and whining in the world is not going to move this situation forward for us in a positive way. And when I came home, I spoke to Richard, and I personally have made a decision that if no one else is going to do this, if no one else can unite everyone, then I'm going to give it a bloody good go. And I know Richard's on board with that.
Yep.
Richard is partly responsible for that decision and plays every bit as big a role in this as me. If not bigger in many respects, because Richard has been around this movement a lot longer than I have, and he knows a lot more people. I suppose what I'm saying is
most of them don't like me though, Paul.
I think the time for waffling and moaning is over. What we need now is positivity, determination, forward moving, but in the right way. Everything has got to be done right. Now, sorry, I'll bring you both in just a second. I've had some comments over the last couple of days, people saying, Paul, you're talking bullshit. We haven't got 5 years. My answer to them is, what's the alternative?
Well, Paul, in all fairness, Noel had to shoot off just then. I had a quick question before he went. And my question to him was going to be, do you think that the government will serve a full term? So they've got to be ready pretty much, I would think, within 12 to 18 months, because I don't see.
I can't see how we can get rid of them with the majority they've got. How can we get rid of them?
A vote of no confidence by the public. I don't know.
I think they're there for 5 years, Danny.
Yeah, I do.
I think
maybe.
Because of the political system. This is where, we are where we are, and we've got what we've got. So we've got to make the plan as if they're going to be there 5 years, and if we've got to make a plan as if they're going to torment us for 5 years. They're going to do everything to.
But in case something does happen, we have got to try and have a bit of a backup plan. Because if all of a sudden they go like, we're calling a snap general election next week, we can't all sit there and start saying then, look, now what do we do?
I mean, you never know what's going to happen. That's always the thing. I mean, in life, there's always the unpredictable. Just comes and bites you on the arse all the time. So
if we're ready, then it's a different.
Richard, couple of people just saying, can you turn your sound up a little bit? They love your dulcet tones, or maybe sit a little bit nearer to the mic. One of the two.
Yeah, Is that any better? Just let me know, guys.
that's a bit better. You're a bit louder.
That sounds a bit better. That sounds a bit better. So I think the bottom line is this: is that look, what I found out is that if you make dramatic videos with dramatic headlines, calling out problems and whining and moaning and groaning, you get the views. I know how to get a video. I know how to release a video tomorrow that will get 500,000 views. I know exactly what I need to do. That's going to pay me good money, but it's not going to forward this movement. It's not going to do us any favors. It's all it's going to do is raise people's temperatures. And I think people's temperatures are raised enough already. What we need is solutions, not more problems. We know the problems. We know what they are. We know what we face. Now we need to get into the nitty-gritty of uniting everyone and getting everyone together. And as I said in that video yesterday, look, there are people that won't necessarily get on. This is no longer about personal relationships. It's not even about left and right anymore for me. This is about democracy. This is about our freedom. This is about our culture and our beautiful country. Common sense.
Yeah.
Forget left and right. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's about democracy and standing up for a country that we want to live in that is completely free. And to do that, we've got to unite. Everyone has got to unite. And I'm going to call a couple of people out tonight. I hope they get to see this. One person that I really, really, really want to bring on board. And if anyone can get this video to him or make sure he sees it, please, please do so. And I know there are a lot of people with eyes on my channel right now. Jeremy Clarkson, please get in touch. Jeremy Clarkson, we need you. We know you're a man that has the right spirit. We know you're the man that has the right beliefs. We need you, Jeremy. Please get in touch. I need 10 minutes of your time, and I promise you'll be impressed with what I have to say. Jeremy Clarkson, over to you. Right, that's my little rant. Danny, go on, have a go.
I'm going to call out Timmy Mallet.
Timmy,
no, I'm joking.
Look, anyone that's on our side watching this or gets to see this, people like Alex Phillips at GB News. Look, I know she's got a job to keep, right? I understand this, but everyone needs to understand now that we must rally together. Everyone, we must rally together. The Peter Whittles of this world, forget. We've got to put any minor differences to one side. Even people, I've said it before, like Carl Froch, great man, great patriot, champion, took the longest walk a man will ever take to the ring. Carl, if you get to see this, come on board. We need you. We need these names. We need these people. And we are working very hard. And Richard, I think within 24 hours, because me and you have spoken earlier off air, obviously, as we always do, yesterday's video resonated with a lot of people, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it really did, and I think it was really weird because I think it was a day before, Paul. I think I did a video in the morning, and you didn't know I'd done it, and it was exactly the same as the one that you'd done. Yep. And then I did one before I'd watched your video yesterday, and they were just talking about the sort of synchronization, and it wasn't manufactured. There were because people in the comments are going, "Oh, Richard's copying Paul or Paul's copying Richard," but it's not. We're just doing things spontaneously.
We didn't even know, did we?
No.
We didn't even know.
You said to me, "Have you seen the video yet?" And I went, "No, I've just done one myself." And then
I said you might not like all of it because I spoke about reform.
It was exactly the same as because I said exactly the same thing. I says, "Look, at the end of the day, what we need to do, and this is what I think." And Jeremy, if you're watching, don't phone a friend, phone Paul, right? Phone Paul. Took a while for that one to click in, Paul, didn't it? But yes. So we need to get these big people, these big players on board. But what we need to do is we need to have this plan solidified, and I think that's what we've come to. And I keep going back to the pledge and back to the
absolutely,
pledge.
Absolutely.
And again, it's kind of like waiting for Christmas. We haven't officially launched it yet. Everything's in place. Everything's good to go. And I think that could be a catalyst to bring all right-thinking people together from whatever side, from the left, the centre, the right, people that love the country, genuine patriots that love the country, if they looked at those principles, I don't see how any of them could have a difficulty with them. And we should be getting millions upon millions of people, coming on board with that. And again, it's all that's our little bit. Noel's doing his thing with reform. UKIP are doing their thing over here. There's lots of people doing a lot of stuff. Rod Little with the SDP.
It's gelling it all together, Rich, isn't it? It's gelling it all together.
It's getting it and we've got to get to a stage before the next election. We say, right, guys, I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. But it's time to get your act together and basically.
Absolutely, I think Richard, spot on, mate. I mean, this is it. It is time for everyone to get their goddamn act together, because I've been around this now for I don't know, 6 or 8 months, and it's been a real eye opener. I've been sitting back, I've been watching, I've been listening, I've been learning, I've been getting to know some of the characters in the background. Some I like immensely, some I can take them or leave them, whatever. But it doesn't really matter. What matters now is that, look, I'm tired of waiting for things to happen. Yeah. And if no one else can bring this together or try and be the glue that puts all this together, then I'm going to give it a go. Sorry, I'm going to give it a go. If I fail, then so be it. It won't be. What have we lost? At least you're willing to give it a goddamn go.
If you don't try, you will fail. Do you know what I mean? If you don't try and do it, you will fail because you won't do it.
Exactly.
It's like I was talking to someone today, and I sent this guy a message, and I said, look, whatever decision you make is the right decision. And I think you've got to live like that. If you make a decision about something, and there's no point in looking back and going, oh, it was the wrong decision. If you've made it in a good heart with in a good conscience, then it's the right thing to do. And I think bringing people together is always the right thing to do. And like you said, there's loads. I have fell out with a lot of people, surprise, down through the years in this movement. But I genuinely don't hold grudges against them. Now, if they want to hold grudges against me, I can't do anything about that. But I want to get on and say, right, guys, okay, we might have had a few words about whatever. Let's just get back on track and do this and get it smashed out the ballpark. And that's what I want to do. And it's bigger than one person now. It's bigger than one party. It's got to be an absolutely mass effort of the British people, because we've got a fight on our hands, Paul. It's not, we've got to be realistic as well. It's not, what we're trying to do is not going to be easy. But I think we've got a lot of momentum. They played their best card against us, and it failed. They thought that basically manipulating the narrative over those riots would destroy us, and it's actually had the opposite effect. So they failed in what they were trying to do. And I think, if we keep going forward, peaceful, within the law, pushing democracy, pushing unity, how can anybody have a problem with that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is Danny, what we're doing here, we're building something that is non-political, but absolutely. we will loan our support to the right political party.
Now, at the end.
Now, at the moment, it looks like it's going to be reform. It may end up something completely different in 4 or 5 years' time. We don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's why we've got that. What we've got to do is keep that independence all the time. So we're not. And here's the thing: if somebody wants to join your Reform or your UKIP or the Conservative Party, and they're involved with the pledge, that's fine. We don't care. If they're in the Labour Party and they sign the pledge, we don't care. As long as they believe in those principles and are willing to engage with us and join in what we're doing, that's what we want. We want people coming together and standing on the same platform. And
Absolutely.
that's what we've got to achieve. And I think there's a lot of stuff going on. And Paul, what you're doing is magnificent. I think that the idea that you had the other day of building that, that sort of infrastructure to have a lot of people together from different backgrounds that are good people is just.
Well, we have a new group that about 50 people have joined already in the last 24 hours. These are names all with influence in good areas. I've just looked at something very quickly, boys, and I'm going to make a very bold prediction here. The Labour Party currently has 366,000 members. Yeah. I'm going to predict that by the end of this year, we will have exceeded that number.
With the pledge?
With the pledge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would like to, yeah.
Our membership will exceed the Labour Party membership before the end of this year, easily.
Yeah.
And when we reach that number, And when you think about it, Richard, I have nearly 250,000 subscribers myself.
Yeah.
When we overtake the Labour Party membership, we are going to make one hell of a splash about that.
Yeah.
Because that is absolutely seismic.
Yeah.
To be able to boast that your membership is bigger than the party that is running the country is huge. And that is where the guys and girls watching this tonight, that is where you will come in, because you will be responsible, along with us, for getting those signatures on board, for bringing in the members, and for us to be able to say, our party, not political party, but our group is bigger than the governments.
Yeah.
You need to listen to what we have to say. Over 4,000 people in the room. Guys, if you haven't already done so, please hit the upvote button. If you can become a member, that will be absolutely fabulous. Let me just get back to the supers for a moment. Noel talks a lot of sense. We all have a job to do. I think I read that one, didn't I? Thank you very much, Joe. Really appreciate that. Deb Wilson, thank you very much. KG Tiggs, the King should do more for the homeless veterans. Do you know what? I'm disappointed with Charles. I've got to be honest with you guys. Skyhawk 47, rumours are, Paul, that you may be quitting the UK. Is that true? Hope not. Look, guys, I am considering moving my family abroad for their own safety. It wouldn't be permanent. It will be all the time we have this Labour government. But wherever my family live, it doesn't really matter. Because
you're on the same chair, aren't you? You can take it with you if you move anywhere.
Exactly, Danny. I will be fighting the fight for all the things. I mean, if I had it in my mind to leave you guys behind, do you think I'd be doing what I did yesterday? Do you think I'd be making videos like I made yesterday? I've spent my entire day talking to people today. Oh, you know, and it's not a job for me; it's a passion.
The reality is, Paul, it doesn't actually matter where you live geographically, you know, because I mean, I'm sitting in Northern Ireland, so I'm, you know, I mean, it's crazy saying you're relatively safe in Northern Ireland, but you know, compared to you know, with people that are living in central London, you know, saying very safe, you know. So I don't blame Calvin going to America. I don't blame people going outside the country, because with the internet, it doesn't matter where you are. You can get on. You can do all your stuff. You know, everyone has a job and a mission to do now. The citizen journalists, obviously, they're young. Most of them are young lads. They're running around with camcorders and they're going to all these things in central London. They need to be, you know, somewhere in England to do that. But that's not really what we do. We do commentary on events. We try to give thought leadership. We try to make strategy and plans. So we don't need to be out.
Right now, we're thousands of miles apart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're in the same room. We're in the same room, though, Danny. Even though we're thousands of miles apart, we're in the same room. You know,
it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I reckon I'm more passionate about the UK than I ever have been, even though I'm living in Spain. I'm more passionate right now about what is happening to the UK, where I have family living, I have business interests, and I'm more concerned now than ever before.
And look, I'll repeat something that I've said 1,000 times before. This ain't about me anyway. I mean, look, I could live out the rest of my life in the UK, and you know, it won't be a lot different for me, right? It's all about the children. And when I say it's all about the children, I'm not talking about just my children. I'm talking about everyone's children. That's what it's about for me.
What are we
Maggie O'Brien researched the Charterist 17th century English movement, much the same Ast pledge idea.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Maggie. James Bond, one message for the sake of our children. The only thing destroying the planet is the carbon footprint of war.
Fair shout.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, that's the other thing. These elites are very happy to take us into war as well, and you know, kill our young people and kill other people's young people. And you know, I just think I'm just disgusted when I look back from Blair onwards. I'm disgusted with the governance we've had. Absolutely. In fact, actually, from John Major onwards, I'm pretty disgusted, but certainly Blair. And you know, Blair needs to be called to account for taking us into an illegal war and lying to Parliament.
Well, they've tried that, haven't they?
British people.
They've tried that.
They haven't tried hard enough. I mean, again, it takes a lot of will, doesn't it? But I'm just disgusted with them. I'm disgusted with Keir Starmer. I'm disgusted with Rishi Sunak, Boris, the whole lot of them. You know, and
every day I look through X, and there's someone right now posting every day. There's someone posting our our veterans, sorry, our servicemen that we've lost in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. I always like every one of them, and it just breaks my heart. Every goddamn day, there's more and more and more and more, and it's just heartbreaking. And you're right. I mean, it should be called accounts. Simon Dixon. Hi guys, thanks to all you, Tommy and Maya. I've started looking into politics. I'm currently self-studying, and one day to be Prime Minister. Good luck with that, Simon. I stand by all of you. I love Britain and our heritage. We shall not lose.
Brilliant.
The peaceful protest. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Cy Harris. Power to the people. Absolutely. Geordie, good old Geordie. Thank you very much.
We are bunny lad.
Epic 2000. Tom McDonald is a patriotic rapper in the US. Listen to his lyrics. We need someone in the UK to do the same with a British twist. That will get the youngsters on board. We could stimulate this.
I'll give it a whirl.
Danny. Diane Lopez. If that object in charge can't afford to give OAP's winter payments, why is he taking in more riffraff and paying for them? So plenty of money there in the pot. Don't even get me onto the bloody topic of our senior citizens and the way they're being looked after. By the way, a big shout out to a very, very, very good friend of mine, Ian, who is one of my moderators. Ian had some fantastic news today. I won't go into what it was. It was a personal thing. But Ian,
I've not been on the chat, mate. But if it's what I think it is, fantastic. Well
fantastic
done,
news, mate. Absolutely fantastic. God bless you. Love you to death, brother. Asterix, for the next event, can you print 10,000, 15,000 leaflets to give to bystanders along with the marchers route? We can certainly do that. Obviously, there would need to be a little bit of fundraising, but it wouldn't cost too much at all. Skyhawk again, thank you. Yeah, I get that, Paul, but it's sad that this pathetic government is pushing us out of our country that we love. I'm considering moving back to Hong Kong. Look, right now, I wouldn't blame anyone for getting out, as long as they continue the battle from wherever they go to. You have connected the dots and worked out who's behind wars, politics, pushes, immigration, own the media, etc. Have you connected the dots? I hope so. Look, at the end of the day, you know, what we're embarking on here is very exciting. It is going to be very time consuming. But I just wanted to go back to what I was saying earlier on, boys, about some people criticising us, saying we haven't got 5 years. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to be, you know, look, guys, I'll do this my way. No one is forced to join. No one is forced to support me. But I tell everyone now, what I do will be done in decency, in honesty. It will be done properly and legally. If you're looking for a football hooligan, I'm your wrong man. I'm not your guy. So I can't be any clearer than that. You know, don't ever go at me for not being something you want me to be. And if you want to be something different to what I'm doing, then be my guest. Have a go yourselves.
Do you know what, Paul? I'm not being funny, but a lot of these people that make these comments, they don't even use the real names on their YouTube channel. Do you know what I mean? I'm not having a go. I know why people don't do that, because obviously they don't want to get into trouble with work and all that sort of stuff. But you're not going to be a revolutionary if you don't even use your own name. I mean, come on, you know. I mean, that sort of talk, and I really do object to that sort of talk, because again, and I know people get bored. I'm like a broken record. But I lived through the troubles in Northern Ireland, and I see what happens when it goes down that road. If you want to go around, if you want to open the gates of hell, be my guest, but I'll have no part of it, and I'll fight against you. Yeah. Anyone that's starting to cause violence and you know, political violence, terrorism, rioting, I don't want nothing to do with it. It's as simple as that. That's not the way forward, is it?
And I want to add as well, because this is very important as well. That includes targeting anyone from any other communities. We're not
Totally.
here to make enemies. We're here to make friends and to resolve our issues. And that is very important. Air first. Paul, you resemble Herman Kelly of the Irish Freedom Party. Actually, I emailed Herman a few weeks back, but he didn't get back to me. If you have any contacts, I'd like to speak to Herman.
He's a friend of Farage. He's a big friend of Farage, Herman Kelly, yeah.
Let's have a little look. Look, listen, I'm not digging anyone out when I say that. Hi, Claire. I'm not digging anyone out. I'm just pointing out that this isn't as easy as some people might think. Certainly from a time perspective, it's not as easy as people might think. Please bear with us. We're doing our best. We're going beyond our best at times to make this work, but it has to be done carefully and it has to be done properly. And look, guys, if you want this to succeed, trust me, we've got to do it properly. If you want to jolly up and the laugh and you want to see...
We're slow and steady and it wins the race. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Small steps.
You go charging through.
It's always about small steps with the right people, because you have to remember is that I have been around certain people within the movement that other people might object to. And I get that, right? But I'm trying to be the buffer in the middle that people can accept and hopefully speak to. And at the moment, it appears to be working. Touch wood. It appears to be working.
There's massive momentum, Paul. I mean, there really is. I mean, like I say, we had a little bit of a glitch in the matrix about 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, but that is in the rearview mirror. We've got to get back on the horse, and we've got to keep on, on to victory, Yeah. And if we keep doing this, we've got a plan, we've got a strategy, we've had it for a long time. We know what we're doing. If we keep doing it, we'll succeed. If we give up, we won't succeed. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Richard, what you said earlier on about Christmas and the pledge. I mean, really, it is, for me, the pledge is like the biggest Christmas gift that this country could ever have.
I think so.
And, and credit to you, you are the man behind most of that, right? You are the guy that, I'll put it out there now. He's not necessarily going to boast about this, but when we see the pledge, when we see the finished article, there are obviously other people that have very, very nicely contributed and edited and whittled it down. But the basic idea belongs to Richard. And, I think this is a gift to the nation, not just now, but for future generations. And I implore everyone watching that when the pledge is released properly, please sign it and please get everyone behind it. That is the biggest weapon in our armory.
I do want to give a lot of credit to my very modest friend as well, and he is a very modest man, David. And I'm not going to mention his second name because that's how modest he is. But David is an absolute gem, and again, 100% honest, 100% reliable, 100% professional. Just the sort of person that that it's a privilege to know.
Proud to know. Someone you're proud to know.
Proud to know. So if we're talking about when we're doing the pledge, me and David have done it. It was my idea. I can't remember who came up with the name, but the idea was my idea. But in fact, actually, no, it wasn't my idea. I stole the idea, right? Let me explain this, right?
Oh, go on. This is confession time. Richard
exclusive, world exclusive. No, I didn't say it. There's a mate of mine in Northern Ireland called John Yates, right? And I did promise I'd give him a shout out. And years ago, he had an idea called the Northern Ireland Vote Pool. And the whole idea was to get, a big lot of people on Facebook into a Facebook group, and they'd all vote on certain specific issues with, within Northern Ireland, to do with unionism and the protocol and Brexit and all that sort of stuff. And so that was the genesis of the idea. But what's happened is, obviously, we've kind of taken it and changed it and tweaked it. So big shout out to John. He had an idea that was similar, but obviously it's completely different now to what it was then. But that was the genesis of the idea, and we took that and we went, okay, that's actually a really good idea. Instead of starting a political party, you try and influence the way people think and give them an ideology to believe in, and that's really what the pledge is. So,
Just a note to the people of Ireland as well, because I know we get a lot of people from the beautiful island of Ireland, that have the same issues. Look, guys, you can sign the pledge as well, because, we're all on the same side here. Forget the old days. This is a new era. The Union Jack, the Irish tricolour, we've got to stand side by side. We've got to win our countries back the right way. So please, join us. I think that is very important for me.
I totally. I mean, I've got a lot of contacts in the south of Ireland. I've got a lot of contacts in the nationalist community who are good friends of mine. Some of them were back in the day were involved in the conflict in various different ways, and I respect them, and they 100% get what's going on. I mean, the leaders of the political parties in Ireland, including Sinn Féin, and really the unionist parties, to be honest with you, apart from maybe the TUV, which is affiliated with Reform, they it's not that they don't get it, they don't care, and they want to crush any dissent. Same as the media in Ireland, and that's exactly what we're seeing in the UK. So the patriots in Ireland, I take my hat off to them, because they've stood and they've had some horrendous persecution, demonization, losing jobs, arrests, just lawfare, same as what's happened here, because there's been a permanent left-wing government in the Republic of Ireland for about 20 years now, and they've had some shocking
worse than us.
Yeah, they have.
Us at the moment, with everything that's going on.
But I think we're all catching up. What I mean?
Yeah, sadly.
I think,
but it's a race you don't want to
win. Some very good people in the Republic of Ireland doing some great stuff. And one of the banners that we've got, we do a little demo once a week over here in where I live, and we've got a tricolour on one side and we've got a Union Jack on the other side. And I had a loyalist lad holding it on the Union Jack side, and a Republican guy holding it on the tricolour side.
That is so powerful.
That
is so powerful.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
And that is a huge positive to see those guys coming together. Look, I'm not an Irishman, but all the troubles in Ireland used to tear me apart to see all that. So
it's terrible.
Danny, thank you very much. Paul, thank you for becoming a member. Really appreciate that. Sharon, love all you guys, plus Tommy, Maya, etc. We'd be lost without you. You keep us sane and stand with you all the way. Thank you for the truth. Bless you, Sharon. Thank you so much for that. That's really nice.
Another thing, Paul. I'm not sure if I said it the other night. I don't want to. I'm scared to repeat myself, but I think it's an important thing, even if I did say it. I know me and you talked about it, so I'm not so sure whether we said it on channel or whether we said it off the channel. But just a sense of responsibility to the people that watch our videos and tune. I mean, I don't have as big a following as you do, but there's people on my channel. I see them week in, week out. They're always commenting. They're always encouraging. Or if they've got problems, they're saying they've got issues. So it's almost like we've got a pastoral care for the people that are on our channel. And I think that's, and obviously we can't take all their burdens, and we can't interact with everyone all the time, just because it's it's just impossible to do. But I think I try and read all the comments. My wife certainly reads all the comments on my channel, and if there's anything I've missed, she highlights it to me. So I think we've got to realize that the people that are watching us are basically we have a responsibility to them, and they obviously have a responsibility to us in terms of
behaving themselves.
And just but not putting silly stuff in the comments, but there's some really good people on my
fantastic salt of the earth. Danny, I mean Danny's Danny started off just as a sort of a commentator really on here, and people have Danny, the support that you get and the contact.
Unbelievable. I mean, at one stage I was getting about 20-30 people had me on Facebook a day to do with the movement, to do with this channel. It's great. I met a lot of really, really good people, during this movement. For the little time we've been involved in it, like we said, nothing like Richard. We was sat down one day when you was doing the watches and bits and bobs, and said, look, should we start moving over politically? And then we decided to do you decided to do the second channel for the watches only. And now we've just invested more full time, and I've just sort of tagged along with it. Really, I love politics. I love my country. I always have done. As I say, I get a bit of stick every now and then, as you know, for moving to Spain. But I was coming here no matter, if we had the best prime minister and the best party running the country, I'd still be here anyway. So that was nothing to do with that.
You just love the sun, don't you, Dan?
Unfortunately, yeah, and the swimming pools, and yeah.
Sam Gardner.
I tell you what, I'm glad you guys took that decision to come on board, because it makes a massive difference. Makes a massive difference.
Well, you know what? Let me just get through one or two of these. Sam Gardner, thank you so much. Claire Bear, one of our lovely regulars. Please stop negative posts. Watch loads tonight. Oh, I haven't seen too many, Claire, but maybe I'm not keeping my eye on them close enough. Thank you for that. Wheelie Bear, Paul. Tories dismantled a lot of the country and Labour are here to finish it off. Agree with that. They all have something in common, the WF and Keir's fave place, Davos.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Raven, petition the king. Thank you, Raven. If he thinks he might lose the public, he will have to choose his crown or Starmer and the WF. He'll choose
That's what
the
I was
crown.
talking about. That's what I was talking about earlier, when, reform have got to be ready. Because if this gets, you've seen how much has gone, in my personal opinion, and I'm sure everyone else's, you've seen how much has gone wrong in 9 weeks they've been in now. I mean, if it continues like this, how much are the people going to take?
I think the thing is, Danny,
look,
I think the problem that we've got in this country is apathy. There's a lot of apathy in this country because, in general, people in this country say they're hard up, right? And they may well be financially, but most of them have still got a home. They're still managing to buy a packet of fags. They've still usually got a flat screen TV in their front room. And they're apathetic when it comes to politics and when it comes to, making their voices heard. And this is why I think the pledge is so important, because we're not asking people to travel down to London. We're not asking people to get out of their front room and go out on the streets. We're not asking people to even nip across the road. We're asking people to sign an online petition. And if the British public really can't be bothered to even do that, then they'll get their just rewards.
Sadly, yeah. But then by that time, it's going to be sadly too late.
But this is what I'm saying, Danny. I think they will put themselves out and sign the pledge.
Well, I hope they do.
Oh, so do I. Neil B. Tom McDonald is a very patriotic American. Thank you. Nobbin Nuts and Wheelie Bear, our new members. Really appreciate that, as is Danny. Hi, gentlemen. Love from across the pond. How are you doing? Thank you very much. Yorkshire Tea. Can't wait to sign the pledge. What a great way to impact politics. I mean, it really, really is. I mean, it's like, I'm so excited because, as I said, we can have more members in the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, and Reform all put together within a year. What sort of message does that send out to absolutely anyone that we approach?
Yeah, and I think once it starts, Paul, I think if it will get attention. And yourself will get negative attention from the legacy media. There's no doubt about that. But I think we can, because of the way it's written, we can pretty much take on all comers. Because
I'd love to see him read it out and try and knock it.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, bring it on, Richard. I mean, if anyone from Sky TV wants to read out the pledge and try and tear it apart, be my guest.
Yeah. Exactly.
But have a stare to defend
my
it.
guest.
Have a stare to defend it, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But listen, I think the pledge defends itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very short. It's very sweet. It's impactful. It's delightful. It's truthful. It's everything that you could wish for.
Exactly.
It's almost biblical in some ways. I
mean, it kind of. Yeah. I mean, obviously, with it's not quite up there with the Ten Commandments, but it's kind of, I think there's something very, very historic about it, and I think it's going to be. I think it's really going to get people's imagination, and then we'll see what happens. We just let it loose on the public and see what they do with it. That's the bottom line, Paul, isn't it?
Well, it's up to all of the people watching here, and I'm going to bring the show to. I mean, we've been on for over an hour. We've had a great numbers again tonight, guys.
Yeah.
If you haven't already done so, please give us a thumbs up. I'm going to bring the show to a close with the following, right? And I want you guys to comment on it. I'm going to put my neck on the line a little bit here. This is a message for every single YouTuber out there that loves this country. Now, I'm not going to call them political patriots. I'm going to call them every single YouTuber that loves this country and the freedom that it should offer. It's time to step up to the plate. It's time to support the pledge. It's not time to support me or to like me or to send your viewers to my channel or anything like that. It's time to put your, how can I put this? It's time to put your income and your views and your need for more and more subscribers to one side. Even if you have to do that, please unite, please support the pledge, please support what we're doing, get on board. No one owns this, no one's in charge of this. It belongs to all of us.
Exactly.
There's no heads, there's no leaders.
Exactly. It's for the people. I mean,
they just take the microphone and push it on their own media, can't they? Saying, I'm doing this, I want you to sign this for me.
Yeah, I said, I mean? Danny, exactly. I said yesterday, we are now going to find out who's prepared to step up to the plate, who's in this for themselves or who's in this for their country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll find out. And the public can decide. The public will see for themselves. And I'm looking forward to the responses. And, you know, again, I'll give them another shout. Jeremy Clarkson, we're desperate to speak to you, my friend. We see you as having a pivotal role in this. People like Alex Phillips at GB News. Hello, the cat's back. Is that a good sign? I've got a black cat on there.
It's a black pussy tonight instead of a white one. So it's more bewitched than Blofeld. Do you know what I mean?
Well, when it comes to this, you know, I think going wrong.
I think
got a couple of supers still.
That was a prop that he brought on there deliberately, wasn't it? You know, it was...
Richard, don't even start me on that one, mate. You can't be doing that to me.
I wondered what that noise was. It was the pussy purring while you were stroking her.
It's lovely, this one, actually. It's one of my mates.
It's gone 10 o'clock, isn't it? We're all right.
Yeah. Yorkshire tea.
It's after the watershed, Danny.
I think I read this one, didn't I? Yorkshire tea. Can't wait to sign a pledge. Yeah, I did read that one. Thank you very much. Stephen Nolan. Been listening to this for 10 minutes. Any chance you could explain succinctly what your movement is for, against? Heard nothing concrete so far. Okay, I mean, hard to sum up for you, Stephen, in a few sentences, because, you know, we've been talking about this for months, but what we're about is uniting the UK. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's about uniting the people of the United Kingdom that love their country, that love freedom, that believe in free speech, that believe in equality for everyone of all races, creeds, colours, religions. We don't want to see any extremists from the far left or the far right. We just want to...
Will I read the pledge out to him? Will I read the 5 points from the pledge? What do you think? Or should we keep it secret for now?
I'll let you decide, Richard.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give a little teaser. Okay, so first of all,
Stephen, this is for you. This is
for you, Stephen. This
a
is
world
for you.
exclusive.
Done now. We was all going to bed.
This is for you. We're standing for freedom, equality under the law, and real democracy. Okay, that's the first one. We're going to build a peaceful, prosperous, and patriotic society, and we want to reclaim our nation's identity, its Christian traditions, cultures, and values, and we want to give courage and hope to the British people, and we're going to resist tyranny. So that's what the pledge is about. That's basically what the pledge is about. So if you're into that, then, you know, you're in the right place. If all that stuff turns you off and you're not interested, then you're in the wrong place. You know?
And look, Stephen, I think, and I'll just sum that up for you, because, you know, there might be people watching this that are maybe thinking that, oh, have a look, we've got, you know, some right-wing nutcases here. You couldn't be more wrong. We're about harmony. We're about peace. We're about bringing communities together. Now, if there are communities that don't want to integrate with us and that don't want to be part of this country, then you should speak to them.
Yeah.
And ask them why.
And if you look at if you look at that, Paul, look at everybody, bang, bang, bang. I want to sign in the comments.
Yeah. David Crosby, thank you very much. Hi, young lads. What do you think? I like the young bit. Hi, young lads. What do you think diverse brain Harry is after? Watch out the royal family. Do you know what? I give up reading anything about the Ginger Whinger a long time ago. Deb Wilson, thank you for becoming a member. Just finally, guys, I just want to have a quick shout out to, a quick word about my elderly, unwell mother and father-in-law, both in their 90s. One of them is quite seriously ill and has been for a long time. They are distressed. They are very upset. They are feeling very frightened in their own home. They fear for their security. Keir Starmer, this is for you. My father-in-law served in the military. My mother-in-law, her father, served in the Second World War as a military policeman. And what you are currently left with these wonderful people who have never ever broken the law. They've raised 3 lovely daughters, been a magnificent family. Right now, one of them has cancer. He's not getting the treatment he needs. He's ill in other ways as well. He has memory loss, the onset of dementia. His wife, my mother-in-law, is scared, frightened. They're worried about their winter fuel allowance being taken away from them. They're worried about safety. They won't leave the house. They watch the news. That is your legacy. Just a few weeks into your
Can I just add to that, Paul? I had the same sort of conversation with my father today, saying that, he feels very down about things. You've got to remember, these people are coming to the latter part of their life and they don't want to exit not knowing that things are good. Do you understand what I mean?
It's beyond disgraceful, Danny. I've said this time and time and time again. Any goddamn nation in the world, you can tell how good they are and how good the people are that run it, how they treat their young, their sick and their elderly. And we are failing badly on all 3 points. Our children are having their brains rotted. Our children are having their brains indoctrinated. Our elderly are being badly mistreated, neglected, and our sick are becoming sicker instead of better. All 3 of those things could be solved relatively easy because we have the money, we just don't put it in the right places. And my blood absolutely boils.
So does it.
Yeah,
and we have no say either. We have no say on how our tax money is spent. We don't get a say.
No,
and
I
it's
agree.
quite clearly being dished out. Dished out is the only word I'm going to say.
Well, we can send money all over the world, Danny, right? But we can't look
spend it on
after our bloody own people. We can't
Tell
spend
me
it.
why, Paul.
When I
This
say
isn't a
our own
mistake.
people, Danny, when I say our own people, by the way, hospital waiting lists don't see colour or religion. You're just another name. Those people already here. Doesn't matter where they came from originally. The waiting list for them is no different to anyone else. Gay Sultana.
This isn't by mistake, right?
No, it's not.
We all know that, don't we? We all know that this waste of money and this it's all by design. This isn't a mistake. This isn't bad management. This is what they want to do.
And that's like I say, Paul. The reality is, and obviously we're talking about our parents and elderly relatives. The reality is, it's the kids that I'm worried about. I'm obviously worried about my parents, but I'm worried about the kids and my grandkids. Because what future do they have? Well,
right now, none at all. That's why, that's why I want to get my kids and my grandkids out of this country until we've got a government in charge that is willing to take care of them, that respects them, their culture, their history, their background, where they come from, and more importantly, their future.
Yeah.
I don't want my grandchildren going to school being told that they have some kind of privilege that they've never experienced in their life.
There's a couple of people in the comments, Paul, just saying, not sure it's by design. It is by design. Sadly, it is by design. I mean, have you seen Blair? That they snippet things up, they bust it down, and they release it to the mainstream media, which brings people down. If they said they're going to put your taxes up to 50% for everyone would go mental. But then if it gets to the point where they're going to put the taxes up and they only put it up to 30%, you think, oh, well, that ain't too bad. It's still gone up. But they're going to think it ain't too bad because it was going to be 50%.
Katie Hopkins,
very clever.
They do. Katie Hopkins released a very good video earlier on about what they're going to do to us. It's a really, really good video. Go and watch that. Gay Sultana, thinking about the late Queen's Day. We lost a great leader. Yeah, God rest her soul.
2 years ago, wasn't it? 2 years ago
today, I think. Yeah,
today
Graham R.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Lads, you say peace, harmony and freedom, but Paul, most of your content is standard anti-immigrant noise with a dose of good old days nostalgia. It's not anti-immigrant noise at all. I don't see that. I am not necessarily anti-immigrant.
No, that's. I mean, all right. He's got his right to his freedom of speech, but he's not reporting accurately what we're saying. I can't remember the last time we mentioned immigration on this channel. To be honest with you, I genuinely can't.
I can't.
I mean, all I can take it from Graham's comment there, that he's against people leaving France, which isn't a war-torn country, coming over illegally with a passport a lot of the time, chucking it in the water before they get here, and coming in. We've had a recent case where a person that came in said they were 15. It ended up that they were 20 years old. Went into a school, caused a problem with a girl at school, come out, had a problem somewhere else. Ended up that when it was looked into and he was arrested properly, that he was wanted for all sorts of problems where he left originally. Now, obviously, this is the problem with coming in unchecked, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, Graham, thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. Like Richard says, you're welcome to your opinion, but my friend, I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti the wrong type of person being in this country. Look, if you're a bad person that was born in this country, you belong in jail. If you're a bad person that came here illegally, you shouldn't be here in the first place. It's common sense.
I mean, he's obviously invited us to comment on this, and I think as long as we do that sensibly, we should comment on it. I think the numbers in terms of immigration are mind-boggling
and unsustainable at this
time.
And
unsustainable, and I don't know what his financial situation is. Maybe he's very, very well off and he can afford to pay huge amounts of tax. He can afford to have private healthcare, so he doesn't have to worry about the NHS. I don't know, but I mean, the reality is, if you're a normal working class lad from either whatever background in the UK, and you're trying to do your best for your family, and you haven't got a massive amount of money, you are affected by mass immigration. It's just economics. The reality is that, if you have a lot of people coming that need help, and the government's has pledged to give them help, that affects other services that other people are going to get. So that's just a fact. And then if we want to look at the amount of terrorist attacks that were carried out by unvetted migrants, we could give you names. I mean, Salman Abeydi's parents came here as refugees in the 1990s. They were Islamists. They brought the children up to be Islamists. Salman Abeydi blew himself up in the Ariana Grande concert. I think two of the Borough Market attackers were here illegally. So there are implications for legal and illegal immigration to this country. And why should we have something pushed upon us and then be made to feel guilty and to be accused of racism, which is the subplot with a lot of what these people say, because we're saying, hold on a minute, we actually don't want the culture of our country. We don't want our safety being undermined. We don't want our healthcare being undermined. We don't want the housing crisis to continue. We want our children to be able to afford houses and to have families. And we don't want our culture completely changed. I think they're totally reasonable. I think all right-minded people would agree with that.
I think if you change the word immigrant for addition, let me give you an example. I love a silly example. If we substitute the word immigrant for addition for a moment, when your child goes to school and there are 32 kids in a class and the teacher is struggling to give them a good education, do you add further additions to that class? Do you bring in another 2 children and make it a bit more difficult for that teacher to cope? Do you bring in another 5 children and make it a bit more difficult to cope? Do you bring in another 25 children and make it absolutely impossible for that teacher to cope and to educate and to deal with her class? Do you bring in another 30, 40% and just completely to the point where no more children can get into their room? That's where we are. Joe, £4 super sticker. Thank you very much. Go on,
Paul,
Danny.
Also, just on the subject to that, and I touched this on my Facebook recently and come under a little bit of stick with it. Basically, they've now added VAT onto private tuition, private schools. So there's going to be an awful lot of schools that are tax paying that are going to close because there are going to be parents that I think there's a bit of a misinterpret with private schools. Not everyone has got millionaire parents. Their children are not millionaire. That the parents are not millionaires. So they're a little bit. They sort of don't go away on holidays. They don't have a nice car. They sort of live in a smaller house to give their children that possible
education,
which is their choice, right? But it's up to them how they spend their money. But for the government now to put VAT on top of it, which could add 10 grand per, if you've got a couple of children, at least another 10 grand onto their education fees. And there's people that say, well, they should pay that, but not really, because now what they're going to do, they're going to pull people out of those private schools.
And they'll be back into the state schools.
And they'll be back into the state schools. I'm not saying that people should get a discount or a tax rebate for putting their kids in private schools, but don't pound them as well, because there's an awful, I think is it 18% of privately educated? That's an awful lot of extra people.
And whether people like it or not,
classroom.
Danny, whether people like it or not as well, we do need people that are brought up in this country with good educations.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up like a third world country.
What, they got 60 in a class soon, and what are they going to do then? I mean, Well,
look, I mean, I could give you examples with schools because I've got, a lot of grandchildren, and I could tell you some of the things that comes home from them, but I don't really want to go down that route, but it ain't pretty. I tell you now, they are being neglected for reasons that we would not approve of.
Yep.
Steve, thank you very much. James Bond again. Where can I find out about the pledge, guys? We are going to be launching it very, very soon. Steve again, where is the pledge? When is the pledge coming out? It's going to be very. Do we have a date yet, Richard?
Well, I mean, it's going to be October. And I think that's at the minute, because there's a lot of negotiations going on about different things. So I think we'll say it's definitely going to be October. We'll know more by the end of the week. And I'm actually away with business at the end of the week. So we'll probably be able to give a date, maybe Wednesday next week, Paul. Yeah.
Meanwhile, tell your family, tell your friends, because boy, oh boy, we got to grow this and we got to grow it fast. David Crosby, Paul, I pay for what I really love. This show rules. Thank you very much, David. Dazzy boy, did anyone see Keir on Laura Kay today? She called him out 9 billion of the 22 billion black hole. He's been blaming the Tories for when in reality 9 billion was his own government. So much for not knowing.
Well,
BBC
Diane might have done it. Diane might have added it up.
She was using her abacus.
Diane Abacus. Oh dear. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a magnificent show as always. More than anything, thank you so much for everyone to join us. Over 4,000 people tonight. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Even if you have, please make sure that you still are subscribed, because a lot of people have been unsubscribed, it seems, by YouTube. Jeremy Clarkson, no more Top Gear. This is Top Fear. Get in touch, my friend. I'll even come to your pub and I'll even pay for one of those expensive drinks, but we need you on board. Have a great week, everyone. We will be back very soon. Big thanks to my dear friend Danny out there in Spain. Always a top guy. Danny, thank you so much. And to the big man there, Richard, absolute star. Thank you so much. Final thoughts. Goodbye to everyone. You want to say good evening? See you later to everyone?
Yeah, see you guys again. Thanks for supporting the channel, and let's just keep on trucking.
We
Thanks, guys.
are
Thanks again.
we are on the right track. We're on the road. Have a great week, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night. See you soon.